Hi, everybody. Namaste. Happy Valentine's Day. And today we are so grateful that all of you are here, but as well as our panel today celebrating Love Day, not only today, but every day of the year. And please welcome Renee Slansky, who's an author, who's a YouTuber, and she is a coach celebrating love and dating. Please welcome Jen McCarty all the way from UK. And today, Jen's book is out. Jen, show us your book, Twin Flames and the Event. And Jen is going to be running us through a meditation. Congratulations, Jen. We are so happy you're here. And finally, Charlie Freak, all the way from Mexico, a spiritual teacher as well as a podcaster himself. And Charlie, you're going to be talking about love and why it's so important that we continue believing in love. Welcome, everybody. So how this show is going to work is we're going to go around the table. Everybody's going to introduce themselves. And of course, we're going to talk about love, why it's important that we continue to believe in love, and what makes love our true home. And to everybody who's here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. Please ask your questions to any of the audiences, to any of the panels, but also just come and join us and celebrate the day with us. And it's always a privilege to serve you. Namaste. And my name is Devina Kaur, and I'm the founder of the Sexy Brilliant Nonprofit Foundation. So thank you. Charlie, over to you.
Wonderful topic for and what a wonderful have been introduced to.
Charlie, we're losing your voice. Maybe. Okay, it's a live show, so that's why we have all these tech glitches, and I apologize for that. Charlie, while you are fixing the internet connection, Jen, would you like to say a couple of words and why it's so important that we continue believing in love?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Why is it so important? Well, every day is Valentine's Day, and this is a third dimensional matrix, and basically that means it's like an overlay. It's like a program that has been overlaid. This is really heaven on earth. This is really a higher dimensional heavenly realm, but there's been this false matrix program that has been put on that. And so that creates the idea of separation and this idea that we have one day that we celebrate love. But of course, there isn't just one day that we celebrate love. Every single moment of every single minute of every single day is about love, because all that exists is love. God is love. I am love. You are love. Love is eternal. That is all that exists. Everything else is an illusion, and it doesn't get stored in the Akashic field. And everything that's of the illusory realm, it just collapses. It doesn't remain within the higher dimensional realms. So it's always appropriate for us to celebrate love, but it's also beautiful to have a day that where there's an extra boost of celebration of love energy. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that. But really, the whole purpose is about understanding relationships now. You've got twin flame relationships, soulmate relationships, karmic relationships. And a karmic relationship is based upon lack. So if you believe this, if you've forgotten the memo that this is heaven on earth, if you are just thinking, oh, I've just got to find someone just to put up with me, that's coming from a lack vibration. And so that is basically creating a relationship based upon those thoughts. And that is called a karmic relationship. Now, we're not going to be taking karmic relationships into the new earth, into 5D. So there's going to be a huge kind of like collapsing of everything that will not hold up in the higher dimensional realms. So, a lot of these karmic relationships are based on illusion, based on survival. Survival is not the energy of the higher dimensions. Survival is very much of the lower dimensions. We're going into the dimensions where we thrive, where we excel. You know what I mean? It's not about surviving. So yeah, so much of that is going on at the moment. People are having huge awakenings with the energies that are pouring in from galactic central. This is all to do with the photonic light particles, also called God codes, and they interact with our DNA, and they cause our DNA to, it's a bit like, our DNA is quite like popcorn, and when it's in its kind of 2-strand state, it's a bit like a hard kernel. And so what these energies are doing, they're like a microwave that's kind of like heating up the popcorn kernels and causing them to go into the popcorn. And so this is a huge momentum that is taking place for all of us at the moment. And this is to do with the energies that are being spewed forth from galactic central. So people aren't going to get away with these relationships as much as what they used to when we weren't in this ascension window. So I would say right now, really look at the relationship that you're in. Is this relationship really fulfilling your heart? Are you getting a sense of heaven on earth through being with this person? Or are you feeling a huge sense of obligation? It's really time now for us to look at our relationships and realize that, you know, the new energies that are pouring into the earth are not going to be supporting these lower frequency karmic relationships. And the universe is going to be really deeply supporting these twin flame relationships, these divine partner relationships. So just to finish off, what I've been shown is that these vessels are created as the seed of the divine self, the seed of the divine self, and it's our relationships which act as that which activates the seed to become the fruit. So the seed of the divinity that you are is waiting for the correct partner, because it's all to do with a particular partner that's going to come along and activate your DNA and transform you from that 2-strand DNA to 12-strand DNA, from carbon to crystalline. So there we go. You're muted, darling.
Thank you so much, Jen. That was so beautiful. And we're going to go to Renee. Renee, any thoughts on what Jen just said? And I know you're on the other side where you're coaching people about dating and love and how to find the perfect relationship. So please go ahead and shed some light on us.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Jen was definitely on point, that, you know, love is something that we have access to on a daily basis, and we can get caught up in the trap that we either have to earn love by having the perfect partner or becoming the perfect partner, or we can only be worthy of love on Valentine's Day, and then if we don't get it on Valentine's Day, then we must be dating the wrong person, or we must be the wrong person, and therefore we believe that we're not worthy of that love. And what I often see is that the reason why a lot of people struggle with calling in their divine partner, as Jen said, and recognizing that person also in front of them, is because we actually put love on a pedestal. And when something is put on a pedestal, it becomes out of our reach. Hence why we have this striving towards trying to go, what can I do in order to be able to be worthy of that love, or to be able to get that love? And that basically manifests into women chasing men. It may manifest into men not feeling that they're masculine enough to be able to attract a feminine woman. It puts people, again, in that lack mode that Gwen was talking about. Obviously, if you're coming from a place of lack, a place of fear, you're going to be switching on parts of your brain, which is called the RAS, which is the reticular activating system, which is then going to look for physical evidence of that lack existing. Hence why people think, well, is this my type? Or is this the reason why, or is this how love is meant to be? Because they're constantly almost prophesizing their own sort of lack into their life, seeing evidence of it and going, well, this must be how love is. Love is hard. Love is difficult. Love is something that I don't have access to. Love is only for the lucky. And so I think if we're able to really switch out of that mindset that love isn't something that you earn, love is something that you receive, love is something that is available to us, whether it is self-love, whether it is parental love, whether it is friendship love, there's 5 different types of love. It puts us in this mindset of abundance rather than lack. And when we date from abundance and when we build relationships from a place of abundance, we're coming from overflow. We're coming from this position where we are able to set boundaries and standards. Okay, we're able to call in what we truly want, and therefore have the relationship we truly desire instead of settling for second best. And we realize also that Valentine's Day isn't necessarily a day where it's only for people in relationships, or if you're singles, you should boycott it. It's basically a day to honor somebody that you value in your life, whether that is yourself or whether that is your partner. It is an opportunity, again, to affirm that access that you have to love.
That is so beautiful, Renee, and thank you so much for just bringing home about abundance and how love is in all of us. And we're going to go to Charlie. Charlie, can you hear us? So,
Can you hear me okay, Devina?
yes, we can hear you, Charlie.
Okay, so first what we should probably do is everyone a truthful understanding of what Valentine's literally is, truthfully, and what it was when it was bid, and what it's been turned into. For Valentine's, traditionally, like
sorry, Charlie, we lost you again. So Mercury is still in retrograde, guys. Don't forget that. That's why we're having all these technical glitches, right? But Charlie's going to be back, and I want to just ask everybody, where are you from? So many of you have joined us, and I want to know where you guys are from. Let me know in the comments, please. Okay, Charlie, back to you.
Devina, can you hear me okay?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. So the true history of Valentine's Day was a day sometime in between the fall of man, which is of course December 21st, and then the rebirth of man on December 22nd, leading up to, of course, March 22nd, which is the resurrection of man. So the concept of Valentine's Day was a sort of a midpoint day in this astrological transmutation through the seasons, which of course is the fourfold nature within us. We are a cross. And so as we're rising up from the womb, from the root or the base of us in the east to the sun rising upon the level, we were supposed to declare. Now, this is typical of how our history has been manipulated. So the origins of Valentine's Day is that you're supposed to, like a bird singing your song for everyone to hear, is you're there to choose your mate or maker, not your mate. And so mate has been the K, which is the 11th letter of the alphabet, which is the divine number of all. The master numbers. The master numbers are 11, 22, 33, father, mother, child. 11 is the representation of course, the Father. So it is the supreme number of all. So you remove the K, which is divine, and you replace it with a T, which is again a cross, which is our fourfold nature, and you put us squarely out of heaven back into the physical form. And so now what Valentine's Day has become is that we're supposed to choose a mate. And you can't choose a mate until you know yourself. And if you do, you possess free will. But if you do, then this is what you're going to experience. This is what everyone has experienced for the last 100+ years under the reign of the mainstream media, which everything they teach you is a lie. So we pick the wrong mate because we're not the right person. We're always the wrong person. Persephone, mask wear. We wear masks. We do what society tells us to do. We do what our parents tell us to do. We do what school tells us to do. We align with what television and the movies tell us to do, or magazines tell us to do. We conform. That's why you have millions of people, billions of people across this earth right now wearing toilet paper across their face, or a baby's diaper across their face. When you are the child of God, you are free. There's no other man has any power over you. And if you knew this, and if you truly embrace the full power that is within you, you could literally fly. And then you would go from understanding to overstanding, where you would overstand their ridiculous rules, to a place of pure power, which is that true connection to the Creator. So the whole history of Valentine's Day was where you were supposed to declare your love for either the Creator or the false creator. So this is heaven or hell. This is God or the devil. This is good or evil. And that's the whole purpose. And it just got twisted. And when you do the research into this, it's so easy to see. About 1824 is when the first inroads were planted to change Valentine's Day into something that they could use. And then it was, write it down on a piece of paper, a card, or make a poem and send it to a loved one. So that's the true history of Valentine's Day. And then we get into the topic of love and dating and relationships. And so I come from a different perspective. When we're created for a minimum of 1,000 years. So what I would say is that when you should consider dating is probably sometime around 333 years old. So sometime in your 300s, that's when you should probably start to consider dating. You know, you've had your third set of teeth by then, and you've gone on some journeys, you've traveled as Jeheshua did, you've traveled to the steppes and into Nepal, and you've learned the ways of Zoroaster along the way, and Buddha and Krishna, and you have some enlightenment about you. You have a bit of a light inside of you. You have an indication, inner indication of divination of whom you are. And then you can begin to make a wise choice. And one of the first things that we all do with dating and relationships is that we rush out to somebody whom we're attracted to, but we're attracted to outward appearance instead of inward magnetism. In other words, that everything in this reality is a choice. They don't teach you this. Nobody seems to know this. Everybody just thinks that we're electrical beings, that we live and we die. But you have a choice. You can be an electrical oscillating wave that crests, rises and falls and dies, and then you wash back into the sea and come again at the breath of God, creating another wave, and there you go round and round and round the wheel. Or you become magnetic, which is eternal. Magnetism is the scalar wave, is the number 8, and that is eternal. There's no beginning, no end. It just oscillates its way eternally. And what's it doing? It's always rising and then falling, rising and then falling and rising, constantly rising. So when we're magnetic, you attract everything that you need without even thinking. Never think. Jesus Christ in the Bible, take no thought for your life, is the most powerful and important of all the teachings in the New Testament. Take no thought for your life. And what do you then, if you're not taking thought, then how does your entire life play itself out? How does all of this work? Sounds great, Charlie, but how does that all work? Well, you become a magnet. You become the king of all you survey. Sur is south. Vey is view. South view. And so the one who is the king of all he surveys is the one who sits at the North Pole, and every direction is a south view. So you are the king of all you survey because you sit in the center of you. The optic thalamus, the third ventricle of the brain, the magic mind, where God exists, where the mother exists, where Santa Claus exists, and where Christ needs to rise within you. On the last show that I did with Jen, she just gave a brilliant 10-minute presentation on this raising of Christ consciousness within us. And this is the entire story and the entire journey. When Christ consciousness returns home, the prodigal son returning home to the essence of you, which is here, then the light turns on and you get everything. You are the lighthouse and the lamp. You're the genie in the bottle. The genie in the bottle is the genius inside of you. This is the genie in the bottle. You just have to rub it 3 times. Father, mother, child. Father, mother, child. Mother, mother, child. And you have unlimited wishes. Everything comes true because this is who you truly are. And then if you want to date, if you want to pick a mate, it becomes so easy. You don't have to do anything because you attract what it is that you need. How many times do we hear from women, because women have been trampled over by this penis-driven, disgusting, rape-filled world of lies and ugliness? You hear from women all the time, I just keep attracting the wrong men into my life. And that's because you've been tricked from your beautiful, magical, perfect, natural essence, which is the caring, compassionate, giving, loving mother, into have to compete with men, have to compete with other women, have to look great, and I have to wear this and that and the other thing, and it's just a rat race. It's a game that needs to be played on their rules. And if women just went back into the root of themselves, you see, that's the V, the 22nd letter of the alphabet, and that's the number of the sacred feminine, 11, 22, 33, V for vagina, or the womb of the womb man. And that's where all womb men should go to find their peace again within them and know thyself. And for men, we need to rise that Christ consciousness. We all need to rise the Christ consciousness within us, but it's just so beautiful. We have to find our inner self and our inner essence and know thyself, 1122, to become the 33, which is the child. So when we date, we choose the wrong ones because we play the game on their rules. And then we choose outer appearances instead of what really matters, which is what's inside someone. And when you do this work, when you raise Christ consciousness through virtue in your life versus the sinfulness of what their system teaches, to compete, right? To lie, cheat, and steal to get ahead, to put food on the table for your family at all costs. So anything, it's all good. And that's your left brain, that facts, figures, and logic that can defend any choice. But when we get past that, when we go to the right brain, cast thy net to the right through virtue, through righteousness, and we're there to help others because we genuinely care about the health of others before all things, then we raise within ourselves through virtue. Virtue rises and sin descends. And it's your choice in any given moment. And when you rise, the light, that's the magnetic light. That's, as Jen says, that's the photon light. God is photon. God is magnetism. So when you become filled with the light of God, when you become righteous and selfless, and when you help others through kindness, care, and compassion, which is the mother, you raise the Kundalini. The Kundalini is the sacred feminine within you, and she rises up. But she never goes anywhere empty-handed. The mother always takes something with her, and that's the child. She takes the child with her as she rises. So before she can rise, the Kundalini can rise, you have to first kill the dragon that is keeping her descended down in the base of the castle. And that's our ego. That's the left brain. That's that one story. And so the journey that we have to go on is to kill the ego so the mother is safe within us, and then she rises and she knows the way, so she leads the way and she takes us up. And then it's father, mother, child in heaven upon earth. And then you are a magnetic being and you attract everything you need. So the right person will automatically come to you, which is, in essence, I'm teaching this a little differently than the way Jen does, but it's the exact same message, that this perfect mate, that this essential essence of you that completes in between the masculine and the feminine is there, and they will find you because you finally turned your light on. They couldn't see you because you've been in the darkness. You've been in the darkness because your light's off. And that's what they teach us to do. Everything about organized society teaches you to turn your light off. And now we have to pull the blinds up, let the sun in, and turn the light on, and then we attract everything that we need. And that's what I would advise is the only way to date is you have to fix you first. And there is fixing that needs to be done. And that's because the people that rule over us hate you. And it's the few, and they rule the many.
Charlie, that is so beautiful. I mean, there's a part of me that just wants to go and get into bed and start crying and like just cry for days because of the my own traumas that are coming up right now, and there is a time for healing for all of that too. But right now, Jen, please shed a little bit of light on what Charlie was talking about the Kundalini awakening, or the rising of Christ consciousness. Please go ahead.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll read some from my book.
Please do, yes. And Jen's book has just come out today. So it's called, Jen, show us the cover of your book. It's called Twin Flames.
God, where is the camera? Sorry. Twin Flames in the Event.
Twin Flames in the Event. And make sure, guys, you are checking the book out, Twin Flames in the Event. So
I'll
Jen,
post the link in the comments.
Yes,
okay.
please go ahead.
Okay, Kundalini energy. I would like to go further now in explaining in greater detail what I've been shown about the Kundalini energy that lies at the base of our spine. When the Kundalini energy is dormant, this represents duality consciousness. This represents third dimensional consciousness, separation consciousness, the idea of us and them, me and you, self and God. Every time a soul incarnates onto the physical plane, an agreement is made on a higher level that our Kundalini energy will be dormant. At some point on our evolutionary journey, if we are starseeds and sign up for the full awakening process, we will experience a cosmic trigger, which will stir the Kundalini energy to come out of its comatose asleep state into its upright and awakened state. The moment when the Kundalini energy rises, the first serpent to rise, which is normally the feminine, automatically activates the opposite polarity. As soon as these two polarities rise and awaken at the base of the spine, they immediately recognize each other and rush together in sacred union, remembrance, and sacred marriage. At the moment of this sacred union, which occurs at the base of the spine, the energy then rises up throughout all of the chakras. In this profound momentum, it must be noted that all manner of shadow remnants and ancestral shadow remnants that have been lurking around in one's energy centers and cells are thoroughly exposed, drawn out, and ultimately released up through the spinal column. As the Kundalini energy rises, it rises in sacred bliss and sacred union, cleaning and cleansing out and bringing light to any darkness that is held within the being. The Kundalini awakening is an extremely confronting experience, and it is something that transforms you at the deepest depths of your being. The purpose of this chapter is to activate the DNA codes within you that are fully responsible for your own ascension and stabilizing in fifth dimensional consciousness through the sacred inner alchemical marriage of your own masculine and feminine energy, that which is known as the Hieros Gamos. So basically what this is saying is that at the base of the spine, our Kundalini serpents are dormant. That's what we sign up for. We're high angelic beings. We have to drop in density to come into this third dimension. And so as part of that agreement, we sign up for our Kundalini energy to be asleep, dormant. At some point within our evolutionary trajectory, something will trigger us. It could be a catalyst twin. It could be a spiritual teacher. It could even be a poem, or it could be your true twin flame. But something will trigger you, and it will activate that dormant Kundalini energy to come out of its comatose state to its kind of like awakening state. And that in itself is a huge momentum. And that's kind of like going from 3D to higher 3D, lower 4D at that point. So basically the Kundalini energy rises, so it comes out of its dormant phase, it rises at the base of the spine, and the moment that both of the Kundalini serpents rise, they recognize each other, and it's like a marriage ceremony. You know, you could imagine them wearing the female serpents wearing a wedding dress and the male serpents wearing a wedding suit, and it's like they've arrived at their own wedding, and they're like, oh my God, there you are, and then they rush together. And in that moment where they rush together, the consciousness comes out of duality. And duality is where we perceive ourselves as separate from all that is. So when the Kundalini energy is dormant, it represents duality. When the Kundalini serpents rise and they merge, this represents oneness. This represents marriage. This represents sacred union, which is the opposite of duality. So you come out of duality consciousness into oneness, into sacred marriage with all that is. And so as the Kundalini energy merges at the base of the spine, this then activates a momentum whereby it rises up throughout all the energy centers. And then it's just like it's cleaning and washing. It's like a washing machine. It's just like attracting all those programs that are not in alignment with your higher consciousness, all those ancestral programs, all those karmic programs. It's just like washing them and cleaning them. And then it rises up to the crown, and that's when it starts doing all this business with the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. And this is the electric and magnetic organs within the brain. And the Kundalini energy is Charlie speaks about this can speak about this in much more better detail than me. But essentially what happens is that the Kundalini energy sends signals to the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, which then activates them to release secretions. And those secretions are referred to as milk and honey in the Bible, the land of milk and honey that's in the Bible. And it's referring to the secretions from the brain. And then basically they sort of like the electric and magnetic energies like merge in the brain, and then they hang around in the claustrum area. And this is what Charlie's talking about specifically, is about the Christos oil. So this is the oil that is activated from the Kundalini merge, which affects the pituitary and the pineal gland, and then it releases the secretions into the claustrum. And this is exactly the oil that Charlie's talking about.
Wow. And Charlie drew a diagram for us, which is the Kundalini awakening. Charlie, can you explain that to us? And then we're going to go to Renee. Sorry, Renee, we're going to Charlie for a second. Charlie, we can't hear you. Okay, got it.
I just quickly drew out what Jen so beautifully said. That's you. That's what exists within you. You have a physical body, you have a subtle body. This is the subtleness of you. This is the finesse or the silkworm that is within you that takes you to heaven on gossamer wings. So this is it. It's Joseph and Mary. It's the milk and the honey, and it's the Ida and the Pingala, the twin serpents. And like everything that Jen is saying, this is exactly what the Bible teaches. It's exactly what Jesus Christ in the Bible teaches. And remember, folks, when you get up to here, this is the third eye. So this would be the sixth chakra, creating the crown, which is the seventh chakra. This is the pituitary gland, which is Mary, risen. This is the milk, and this is Joseph, which is the honey, and the pineal gland, which is the portal to God. And this, again, is the light of the world. That's why the optic thalamus is always known as the light of the world. You have to raise the Ida and the Pingala, the milk and the honey, home, and then this becomes the light of the world. But the thing that I just wanted to share is that Jen was giving that beautiful example of, you can look at it this way, that when you rise, it's like the feminine has a marriage gown on, a marriage dress, and that the man is in a marriage suit, and that it's so perfect. So when you get into this here, this is the third ventricle here, just below the corpus callosum, at the upper right, is the final chamber. And the final chamber is blocked by what's called the fornix. The fornix attaches to the roof of the third ventricle, but this portion is loose. It just sits like this. And it's a stone in front of the tomb. It's a stone in front of the tomb. Does that ring a bell? And when you do this work, when you illuminate the pineal gland, this is in medical textbooks. They don't try to hide it. They don't explain what's really happening or what's going on, but they don't hide it either. So when you illuminate the pineal gland, it triggers an electrical reflex, and it's transferred via a little tiny ganglion of nerves called the stria pinealis, which means straight line from pineal. And the stria pinealis runs directly from the pineal to the fornix, which is, again, this little eyebrow that's hanging down. It's the rock in front of the tomb. And this electrical stimulus forces the fornix, which is the furnace, to do this. It opens. And when it opens, it reveals the last chamber. It's all in medical textbooks. The last chamber of the third ventricle of the brain is called the chamber of the bridegroom. The bride and the groom. So Jen's saying, you can think of this as like, she's wearing a dress and he's wearing a suit. This is the alchemical marriage. It's the one story. Whether you teach this by a spiritual basis, or you teach it, through the Bible or through the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, we're all telling this one story. This is that one story. And this is where the bride and the groom meet and marry eternally. And by the way, this is why you must raise, what is the Kundalini raising? Like Jen said, the chrism oil, which is Christ consciousness. And you have to, because you can't get married without a witness. Jehovah's Witness. Who is Jehovah's Witness? Jesus Christ. And he's the best man. He's the best man because he's the only one that did this and went from the base of hell to heaven upon earth. And so he's the best man. He's Jehovah's Witness to the alchemical marriage between the mother and the father. It is so beautiful. This is all so beautiful. Jen, I'm so excited to get your book and to read your book. And thank you for getting it out in such a timely fashion. That's such a gift for the rest of us. So thank you.
And thank you, Charlie. That was beautiful. And thank you, Jen. And Renee, we're going to go to you. Thank you for your patience. So, we've been talking a lot about the spiritual side of things. We've been talking about the Ida, the Pingala, which by the way, the Vedas and the Bible are it's the same thing. It's the same teaching, just expressed in a different language. So Renee, what are your thoughts on the sacred masculine and the divine feminine, and especially right now as we are going through this times that we are? Any insight, please?
Yeah, I think myself, who I am a born-again Christian, so I've been in church my whole life. I study the Bible. In line with what Charlie and Jen were saying, is that for me, my interpretation of it is when you have a relationship with Christ, you become a new being in Christ, and because Christ is love, therefore we realize that we are also love as well. Hence why we're able to accept love. And I think that when it becomes to the masculine and the feminine, that represents balance. And you can see it even in the way that babies' brains, right from birth, are very different. And I think we live in a time where it's almost like we're trying to make them equal, and masculine and feminine will never be the same because they're created to actually create that balance. And I think trying to make, men are the same as women, women are the same as men. We're the same in the way that we are humans, that we are created to love and be loved, but we are very different beings, and God's created us that way to be able to complement each other. It is our differences that actually complement each other. And I think instead of women trying to fight the masculine and step into their feminine, they're naturally going to attract the masculine energy that they want in their world that is actually made to complement in the way that they have been designed to. I'll give you a classic example. When a little baby is born, a little girl baby, she is someone, you hold her in your arms and she will try and seek out eye contact with the mother or the father or whoever is holding her. Now, if you hold a little baby boy in your arms, his eyes will look all around the room and he will be seeking out adventure, movement and things like that. Whereas a woman, a baby girl, wants to seek that validation. I'm being watched, I'm being valued, I'm being loved. And it's that whole need to be nurtured in order for her to be able to become a nurturer herself. Another thing that happens as we start to go through puberty and our brain starts to change, the difference between male and female brains, women actually have a chemical reaction in their brain which allows them to process emotions into words. That's something that naturally happens for us, hence why women are more emotionally inclined, hence why women at such a time as this, with COVID and quarantine and being locked away, we are talking more, we are seeking more emotional support, we're wondering why men are actually pulling back. Where on the other hand, that chemical reaction doesn't actually happen in a male's brain. It is something that they literally have to learn. And it's there for a reason. Men are meant to be more logical based. Men are the hunters. Men are the ones that go out there and they fight and they protect. Women are the gatherers, the nurturers. And it's those differences that actually make us perfect for one another in order to be able to have a divine relationship. And I personally think that, you cannot miss out on what is meant for you. But obviously, God gives you a choice. God gives you that choice to be able to go, you know, I'm not going to push you into this. There is consequences for what you do, but we serve a God who is a gentleman, and a gentleman gives you a choice. A gentleman says, do you want to do that, Renee? Do you want to date that person? I'm going to let you date that person. However, there is a consequence for dating that person. It'll either be a positive consequence or a negative consequence. So we have this free will that God has given us. Hence why some people choose to follow Christ and other people choose not to, because God gives us that free will. However, with that free will comes responsibility, comes accountability. And for me, I think that not only do we need to understand more about, obviously, spirituality and a relationship with Jesus Christ, or a relationship with God, we also need to understand ourselves, and we need to understand our culture nowadays so that we can know how to navigate our love life in a culture such as this. For example, dating apps, you know, social media. We have access to dates, and we confuse that with access to love or access to healthy relationships. And we're going out there because we can, and we're not really knowing what we're doing. Then we're repeating old habits and convictions that we have had from a child, from negative experiences or lack of awareness, lack of awakening. And we're living our life creating this cycle, which then usually becomes generational if it isn't broken. And then that's where we have it over time and over generations, where you have constant divorce, constant, infidelity, constant depression, things that get passed down because we don't know how to actually break that in the first place. So the whole masculine and feminine, bringing it back to that, I think is something that it's always a little bit more deeper than what we think, other than just, okay, if I'm a feminine woman, I need to basically know how to nurture. It's about realizing that you were created the way that you've been created for a reason. And I think personally that someone has been created for you. And if you have that desire in you to have a specific type of man in your life or a specific type of woman in your life, for me, that is confirmation that that person has actually been created, hence why you've been created with that desire for that person. And it's something to hold on to. It is something that obviously comes with responsibility. You can't just sit back and be like, well, God, you don't drop him on my doorstep. You know, it's something that we need to honor. And we do that by obviously honoring ourselves in the first place.
So beautiful, Renee. And thank you so much. Wow. I'm just blown away with this whole conversation. And, 1 hour with all of you is not enough, but we must keep it to less than 1 hour. So we're just going to go back to Charlie for final words. And then I know that Jen's going to run us through a few minutes of meditation to invite more love and more twin flame into our lives. Charlie, any last thoughts, please?
Linear time does not exist. And if you're still stuck in that construct, you're a victim. God never created time. Just look at God's creation. There's the sun, which gives us generalities, that it's rising in the morning, so it's daylight. It's midday, it's westering, so we need to get ready to return home. And then there's nighttime. The moon gives us weeks, and the moon gives us months. So there's generalities to give us some perspective in all of this. But you have to, with dating and love, and if you're attached to time, you're a victim, and you're going to make the wrong choices again and again. Throw time out of the window. Christ consciousness is timeless. God is stillness and silence and eternal bliss. It's timeless. There's no such thing as time. Time benefits the few and punishes the many. So the very first.
So Charlie, does that mean that we should continue our panel? I want to hear from everybody who's watching our show. Do you want us to extend this by 40 minutes, half an hour? Let us know in the comments, please. And then, Charlie, you are absolutely right that time doesn't exist. It's linear. But
well, there are no buts, and that it's the same thing applies to our children as well. And moving forward with the gift that is about to be given to us, because we're almost at the resurrection of man, March 22nd. This is the rebirth of Christ consciousness, not only upon this blessed realm, but within us. And so this is a gift. This is, we just went through the great conjunction of December 21st, where the Father and the Son were in perfect, they were touching each other in the sky in perfect alignment. And that's a clue. That's exactly where we need to be and exactly what we need to do, which is in perfect alignment. So you throw time out the window. Remember what I said, consider starting dating around 300, something like that. In other words, travel. How can you possibly say that your twin flame is with you in Des Moines, Iowa? That is limiting yourself. That twin flame may very well be in Des Moines, Iowa for you, but she may also be on a mountaintop in Nepal. And if you don't travel, if you do not bestow the gifts of God's creation upon you, if you do not invoke the righteousness of all of these other beautiful cultures and help it to determine who you are, if you do not know the Indian culture, then you're less of a person. If you do not know the Chinese or the Japanese cultures, then you're less of a person. We're not meant to be American or Canadian or Mexican or what. We are the children of God, and we all have one Father, and we all have one Mother, and that is the trueness of this whole story and the fullness of this whole story. That's why Jesus Christ in the Bible teaches that we are all brethren, because we are all brothers and sisters. We have one true Father. We have one true Mother. And together we become the three. So it's this, get this out of your head that your loved one or the dating that you're going to do is look to eternity. Look to eternity. Look beyond dating and look to a partner that you are going to spend the rest of eternity with in the bond of Christ consciousness raising and in servitude to the Father and the Mother. And when you do that, divorce doesn't exist. There's no such thing as divorce when two best friends that are holding hands together. Just look at the cover of Jen's book, holding hands together, serving mankind. Then there's no divorce. There's no divorce in that. There isn't. That's what you have to create, and that's best friends serving God's creation through Christ consciousness, through Jesus Christ rising within you. Let Christ rise home to the Father in heaven.
Thank you, Charlie. That's so beautiful, and you're on point. And just before we head over to Jen for a meditation, and then we're going to come back and go around the panel once again, I'm going to invite everybody to please check out all our panelists. Charlie Freak, he is on MeWe, he's on Rumble, and Renee Slansky at reneeslansky.com or datingdirectory.com. And Renee Slansky has a beautiful YouTube channel where she shares a lot of wisdom. I really encourage you to check that out as well. And of course, Jen's new book. Jen, we cannot wait. I cannot wait to read that book. Congratulations. Please check out Jen's work as well, matahariji.com. And Jen, could you please take us to a final meditation and tell us what you're guided and what the message is for everybody who's here. And thank you to everybody who's joining in for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. We love you so much, and we're so grateful you're here. And thank you from all of us at our nonprofit foundation, as well as our team that's managing the show today. So thank you, everybody. Jen, over to you.
Welcome, guys. So just really grateful to share this panel with Devina and Charlie and Renee, and it's really beautiful to meet you, Renee, and really beautiful to bask in your wisdom. And I really look forward to checking out your YouTube channel and your website. And it's such a wholesome discussion that we're having. And my whole book has been created about what is the role of divine partnerships with regards to this great awakening that we're experiencing. And the whole book is a kind of an analysis into the importance of the role of these divine relationships. And essentially the conclusion is that every time a divine pair comes back into recognition and reunion with each other, the bliss and the ecstasy and the rapture that is activated by that recognition and reunion is of a very, very high frequency band. This is a vibrational universe. It's all about vibrations and frequencies. And so when one couple goes into that heavenly, rapturous union with all that is, then they emit a tone or a frequency out to the collective, and it is that frequency which lifts the third dimension up to the fifth dimension. It is absolutely crucial that these divine partnerships come into alignment now, and people start questioning their relationships, and it's no longer acceptable. You know, if you're really, really on the spiritual path, on the ascension path, then you need to be with a partner that is going to support that process and to support your ascension. You don't want to be with someone that's going to hold you back and going to keep you stuck in the third dimension. And so a lot of these relationships are receiving attention from the universe at the moment. So just understand that if your relationship is collapsing, there's a really, really extraordinary intelligence that is at play here. And it's like a relationship shuffle. It's like, you know, imagine like everyone's on the dance floor, and some people are in karmic relationships and some people aren't, and then it's like, right, and all change, shuffle, relationship shuffle. You know, get into alignment with your twin flame, your divine partner now. You know, and that's what it is. It's just a relationship shuffle. So don't worry, try to go with the energy, try not to panic, and understand that what is collapsing is not really like gonna last for eternity. What we're interested in is that which lasts for eternity. And these relationships are sealed within the deepest heartbeat of eternity. And that's where we're at. That's what we're supporting. So with that in mind, it is my deepest pleasure to guide us all on a 5-minute journey. So it's going to be a 5-minute journey, and we're just going to be working on becoming as attractive as we possibly can to our perfect divine mate. So just inviting us all now just to close our eyes and begin to take some deep breaths. Breathing in through our navel center, and as we breathe out, just relaxing our shoulders, bringing our awareness to all the places that our body is in contact with the chair or the floor, giving ourselves deep permission to relax. I give myself permission to deeply relax, staying with your breath. Breathing out slowly and calmly, feeling that sensation that you are supported. There is a force of great love, of great power that is holding you. This is a divine force of eternal love that is holding you now like a mama bear. Just give yourself permission to relax deeply into the knowing of how precious you are, how beautiful you are, how sacred you are, how you have thousands upon thousands of angels that are watching over you, guiding you, protecting you. You are safe to relax. On the next out breath, visualizing a grounding cord coming out of our root center, visualizing this as a golden cord that is wrapping itself tightly around the core of Mother Earth as we ground and anchor our energy into the earth right now. Each out breath keeps sending our grounding cord deeper and deeper. Now in your mind's eye, please visualize in your heart there is a rose. And it is actually a transparent rose. It is a translucent rose. And the rose has been affected by the programming of the third dimension. And so we're just going to recorrect that. So I'm just inviting everyone to take a deep breath in. And as we breathe out, we're going to send love and we're going to send pink light to the rose. And we're going to start visualizing the rose becoming more pinker, more exquisite and more beautiful. And now the pink's going into magenta color, and it's going into crimson, staying with your breath, and really, really boosting up that rose now. I'm visualizing it as ruby red. And seeing that rose shining away in your heart. And notice now that we're being drawn to the nectar, the sweet nectar. And again, it's quite transparent. So we're just going to take a deep breath in. And as we breathe out, we're going to sweeten that nectar. We're going to intensify the color of that nectar. So it's bright pink, crimson pink. It's getting darker and darker, and so that the nectar becomes red, the same color red as the rose. And notice now that it has come into its full glory, its full bloom, and it is emitting song codes. Notes are now emitting from your heart center, and it's like your song is just singing, your heart is singing the most exquisite song. And now just notice that it's attracting many bees. There's many bees that are flying around. They're just so attracted to your nectar. But there's one bee in particular that has got their eye on you. So just notice how all of the other bees kind of like step back as this king bee, or it could be a queen bee, steps forward now, and just allow that bee to really, really drop itself in the center of your nectar. And you can repeat the mantra, I am magnetic to my divine partner. I am magnetic to my divine counterpart. I have now attracted my divine counterpart. And just really use the power of your imagination to see that sacred union of the bee totally submerged, totally subsumed within this rose. And this is symbolic of the beautiful divine sacred union, the codes of divine sacred union that you have now embodied, you are now fully carrying. Maybe we'll bring our hands in prayer position to seal this activation, knowing that we can bring our attention to this visualization at any point in the day or the week or the month, and we can empower this nectar. This meditation is now complete. Beautiful brothers and sisters, welcome back.
Wow.
Whew.
That was so beautiful. I'm like partly like in a different high. So I'm not sure if I can function anymore. But thank you so much. And I thought 5 minutes would be long, but not really. I could have gone on and on. What do you guys think? And everybody who's watching this and watching this on replay, do you want to see more of Jen's meditation? Let us know in the comments. And of course, check out Jen's work at matahariji.com. Check out her new book, The Twin Flame and the Event. And thank you so much. So as we're getting to the end of this, some last thoughts, Charlie?
Love always, love always. The love flourishes through truth, not lies. Always step in the light of God, which is the truth. That's God's creation. Truth above all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Renee, I'm going to ask you to just, you're muted right now. So please, beautiful, some last thoughts for the meditation, for love, for the event today, and for everything that's happening.
Yeah, I think, it's again a divine concept, a divine word that whatever we meditate on, we manifest into our life. And having visuals like that and putting your energy into thoughts that are pure, thoughts that are good, that is not only divine, but it's something that's incredibly powerful. And I just want to say that love is accessible to everyone, no matter where you are on your journey. You do not need to be perfect in order to receive love. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need God, right? So in your own imperfect way, you're still worthy of love. And let's get it off the pedestal and realize it's right there alongside us and in us.
Thank you so much, Renee. Beautiful. And everybody, make sure you're checking out Renee's work. She writes very beautifully. She's got books, and she's a coach as well. And Renee can be found on YouTube as well as on her website at reneeslansky.com. So datingdirectory.com is where she has a lot of wisdom. And we love you so much. Thank you so much for that beautiful beautiful wisdom. Yes, Jen, thank you for everything.
I just want to let everyone know that I will be hosting a large global ceremony today at 9 p.m. UK time. It's now 5:30, so in just less than 4 hours from now, and it's to do with Valentine's Day. It's a Valentine's Day global transmission, and we're going to be working with the energy of Lemuria and Atlantis and 5D Gaia. I've been shown that there's kind of like there's like a puzzle that needs to slot into place, and we need to just really, really anchor this fifth dimensional Gaia timeline, and it's connected to the energies of Lemuria and Atlantis. It's very, very powerful, and I recommend everyone come and it will really, really increase your alignment with your higher self, which is what this whole journey is all about, becoming one with our higher self. And this is what the transmissions are all about. They accelerate your evolutionary process. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've got about 200 people have signed up so far. I'm sure we'll get a lot more people. And my book is available on Amazon. I don't think it's going to last on Amazon because Amazon is an absolute shithole, pardon my French. But at the end of the day, it was the only one whereby I could get it on print and demand. And but we're going to be moving platforms with that. But it's there for now, and but it won't be there for long.
Jen, where can we find your 9 p.m. transmission today?
So basically, if Devina, I'll send you the link to my website, and I'll just give you the global transmission direct link. That's the main one you want. Okay. And also my website is jenmccarty.co.uk because I'm transitioning from Matahari G to jenmccarty.co.uk, but they both work.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
just before we go to last words with Charlie, I'm going to pull up a card to see what our messages are. These are the Sexy Brilliant Empowerment cards.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, the Sexy Brilliant Empowerment cards, they're a little bit, we talk about sex, so that's why. So we don't know what card we're going to get, but let's hope that it's motivational. Well, our sexuality is also a part of us, and we cannot be embarrassed about it.
No.
It's Valentine's Day, so it's a great day for self-love, too. So it says, Sexy Brilliant Beauty. Wow, what a card. We are all beautiful. Take a moment, sit back, marvel at the magnificent life, at the grief that softened you, at the heartache that made you wise, the suffering that strengthened you, and know that everything you have been through has helped you get here till today. There is beauty in the challenges, there is magic in the mess, and you have access to universal abundance.
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful.
So these cards are available on sexybrilliant.com. We are a registered nonprofit foundation to remove toxic shame and raise human consciousness. And I thank everybody for being here. And those of you who may not know this, I am also the author of a book called Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious, and it's available at all bookstores as well as online. So thank you so much, everybody. If you like the show, make sure you are following all the panels today, Jen McCarty, Renee Slansky, and Charlie Freak. And Charlie Freak's videos are available on Rumble. Make sure you're joining his Telegram channel. Make sure you've checked out his MeWe account as well. And Charlie, any last thoughts before we end the show?
Just really quickly, Jesus Christ didn't do all that he did so that you could continue to be a worthless sinner. You are the light of the world. And every day that you choose not to become the light of this world, you deny everything that Jesus Christ stood for. We must raise the Christ consciousness within us by becoming a kind man. The answer is in the word. We're not human beings, we're mankind. And the kindly man is the king of all we survey. So go to the North Pole. Santa's there, God's there, the Mother's there. Everyone's there waiting for you at the North Pole, and you are the king of all you survey.
Thank you so much. And I'm just sharing the link for the transmission for Jen's, the link for Jen's transmission today, guys. Please check it out. It's right here. It's also going to be in the show notes. And once again, I want to say thank you to everybody who's here. A big thank you to all the panelists who are here. We couldn't have done this without you. So thank you so much, everybody. We love you, and we will be back on Wednesday for our regular show. And you can, of course, sign up for our newsletter at sexybrilliant.org. We are a registered nonprofit foundation. And of course, those of you who may not know this, Sexy Brilliant started because of me overcoming an addiction. So thank you, everybody, for being here. We love you. Talk soon. Bye-bye.